Hello, fellow Trekkies, and welcome to Trekking Out the News. This week, a review of episode 1 and 2 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Spoilers ahead, so please be aware. Okay, so let's get into this. Starfleet Academy. Let's start with episode 1. So, my first thoughts of this episode are that it was okay. It was okay. It started quite dramatic. We got that Discovery era, quite dramatic, with dark, very sort of Battlestar Galactica-esque, But very quickly, it became apparent that that was just a backstory for the characters, sort of setting up Captain Nala, her backstory as to why she's now Chancellor of the Academy, and also our main character, Caleb, and where he comes from. I do wish that this wasn't all at once, so we got this in parts, because I felt that it was a bit too much. It sort of set a tone of the show being quite dark, and actually it's quite a light-hearted show. I felt they sort of did themselves a disservice. I would have liked maybe snippets of this throughout the episode, and by the end of it we get that sort of resolution. But it was okay. It was okay. We got it all at once. We got through all the heartache at once. And in that first section, we find out that that Caleb and his mother are in prison in a Starfleet facility because Paul Giamatti's character, who he's a pirate, Nos Brucker, basically stole some food for Caleb's mum and accidentally killed a Starfleet officer in the process, and they're both arrested, basically. Captain Nala does sort of dirty here. She sort of promises lenience for Caleb and his mother, but instead basically gets her taken to another facility herself and separated from Caleb, which I think is very, very cruel. Basically sort of promising leniency and taking it away. She does address this very shortly after, but I must admit, I really threw me the wrong way when I was like, oh, I don't know if I can get past this, but we did get past it. Caleb himself, bear in mind he's only 6 at this point, escapes from the facility to go find his mum and then is on the run. I don't know how a 6-year-old could, literally have that much awareness and be able to escape. So that kind of concerns me. But he's not able to find his mother in all the years that he's missing. Anyway, the next scene we get Captain Nala working at what I can only assume is where she was planning to take Caleb, which is sort of a children's center. And she's dealing with an argument between 2 children over ice cream, which is, as someone who works with children, I can tell you does happen quite a lot. And then we sort of find out, very interestingly, from Admiral Vance, that she is actually half Lamphonite. So it is possible that she might be Pelia's daughter. That is my hope. That would be a really nice link between Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy. I think that'd be really awesome. Could get maybe some Pelia flashbacks, which I think would be really cool. So we find out that she was around during the burn, that she quit Starfleet because of the whole Caleb and his mother situation, that she felt guilty about what happened and how horrible she was, and she even calls herself out for it, which I think actually was quite noble. We find out that she quit because of the situation, and Admiral Vance has to try and convince her to rejoin Starfleet to become Chancellor of Starfleet Academy. She sort of saw what Starfleet was like before the burn, and so that's why she's asked to be Chancellor of Starfleet Academy, which she says no to until they say they found Caleb, and then she goes off to find Caleb and he is in prison. She basically busts Caleb out. We do get some clips before this of Caleb being taken in a shuttle, very sort of action-y orientated, there's a whole fight scene in the shuttle crashes, and inevitably he gets taken to prison anyway. But yeah, she goes to the prison to basically bust him out. She does, and it's kind of dark, because the first person that's showing you kindness is the person who separated you from your mother. I didn't like that. I kind of felt like it would have been nice if it was like another Starfleet officer took her away from family. If you've been separated from your mother and the person who separated you is right in front of you, you're not going to want to do that, are you? But he takes the help, he gets out of prison, and he reports to Starfleet Academy, because the only other choice is to stay in prison and have his fingers be cut off. Anyway, from here, we sort of get a complete change of the show's just 180s, and it becomes a completely different show. We arrive on the Athena, which is Starfleet Academy. You think that the whole thing's going to be set on a ship, but no, it actually is set in San Francisco. And the Athena is a really, really cool ship. I do like it, where you have sort of center ship and you've got this really cool nacelles. It's almost like angel wings around the outside, and that's its nacelles. Obviously, we are in the 32nd century. We're getting that sort of return of detached nacelles, which I know some people don't like, but obviously this is is 700 years after Next Gen, so we're not gonna have similar designs. They're gonna be very, very different designs of ships, and I think they're kind of cool. Anyway, so the Athena has this beautiful angel wings around the outside, which I think is really cool. And then the middle section, the sort of saucer section, is not a traditional saucer. It sort of detaches from the nacelles, which form like a, I guess you could say, a space dock for the Athena, and the Athena lands and becomes the classrooms. I think it's really, really cool. But we don't see that to the end of the episode, but I just thought it was really cool to mention. But yeah, so we sort of slowly get introduced to characters. We get a lot of characters I don't think we need to know about. Like, we get introduced to the whole bridge crew of the Athena, and I'll get into that once we get to episode 2, but we don't really see them after episode 1. I think it's a reference to the fact that in Discovery, we didn't really know who the bridge crew were, but we get a long list of the bridge crew, like, here's such and such, here's such and such. I will say, number one, I love her. I think she's so cool. Number one is the Jem'Hadar, the female Jem'Hadar, which I know a lot of people are really angry about because, like, Jem'Hadar are cloned, but no, she's not purely Jem'Hadar. She's actually Klingon Jem'Hadar hybrid. Her father was a Jem'Hadar and her mother was a Klingon. So clearly, apparently Jem'Hadars are still able to reproduce. Whether this was done via, like, you know, DNA, they, you know, embryo, or maybe the Jem'Hadar after the Dominion gained the ability to reproduce. We don't know. But either way, we have a Jem'Hadar Klingon, and you know what? She takes the best traits from both. She is like fierce warrior, like through and through. But she's really, really funny. I know some people aren't a fan, but you know what? I think for me, she's really, really cool. We meet our Klingon, who is really, really cool. We've heard about him, and he basically is, what can I describe? He's a pacifist. So he wants to be a medical officer, which is something really, really different. And our number one, she actually says, why are you, like, not being glorious like your father? And he's like, because I don't want to die a pointless life. And it's really, really interesting. Anyway, I was a bit worried. Obviously, we got the triumphant return of Robert Picardo as the Doctor. And a lot of people worried about would he be used very well. And you know what? They've used him really, really well. We sort of first see him and he's getting Caleb through medical exam. He's got some tapeworms apparently, so he gets those cleared. And Robert Picardo's Doctor is just as sassy as ever. And some of the other cadets are like, I swallowed my comm badge already. And it's beautiful. We see more of him later on in the story, like helping the cadets. We sort of get a gist of meeting a few of the main characters. Like we meet Caleb, meet the Klingon, we meet this hologram. We kind of thought in the trailers she seemed a bit silly, like quite quirky and a bit like, how are you in Starfleet Academy? And then we find out that she's actually a hologram like the Doctor, and she's only been alive for 4 months. So, and the Doctor's obviously been alive for 800 years at this point. So it's just really funny, like she's fangirling over the Doctor and the Doctor's feeling really awkward about it, which I think is brilliant. And yes, so we get your typical Caleb and the Klingon become friends. We have your typical bully arrives, and of course the bully's going to end up becoming the friend, isn't he? Because that's just how these work. I'm not gonna lie, the show does feel very much like something I'd see on the Disney Channel when I was younger. So I can tell that some people aren't going to like that. I mean, I like it because I grew up with that. But if you didn't grow up with those kind of stories, you may not enjoy this. I will say, though, it does have some moments that remind me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, too. So if you like that, you may like this, too. But it does have some really, really awesome moments. And then the ship is inevitably attacked by pirates, isn't it? Because that had to happen. Paul Giamatti has to return as Nosbraka, and him and Caleb sort of have this moment. And he sort of implies that he's killed his mother. And you sort of think, and it's like, no, actually, he's stranded her on this planet, which is going to come apparent in the next episode. So yeah, we get our typical ships under attack. They're going to steal the warp core. The kids all get together. It's very Prodigy in that way. We even get a reference from Prodigy, which is great. I love the fact that Prodigy is being referenced. Love Prodigy. And it's all very, very Prodigy. The kids all work together to save the ship. They save the ship, but all because, and the reason Nosbraka attacks is because Caleb sent a signal on him and his mum's comms channel, which is the pirates' communication channel, obviously. So yes, that's how Nosferatu finds a ship. It's all, so it's Star Trek. There are going to be plots that are like, oh, that's a bit convenient, but it was okay. But yes, so they finally get to San Francisco. We see the Athena, you could say source of separation. I guess you could say nacelle separation. And the cells stay in orbit, become a space dock, and then the ship lowers itself down and lands in San Francisco. And that is sort of our episode 1. It sort of ends with Caleb saying he's going to stay. And yeah, then we go on to episode 2, which is Beta Testers. Beta Testers really sort of proves the point that this show is episodic in nature, because suddenly we've gone from the sort of quite dark setup at the beginning of that one to just the kids at school learning different things, which is really, really cool. And Caleb's not quite enjoying it as much as he'd like. We get to see some really cool, characters. We see a Bricker, another Prodigy reference. We see Rok-Tok's race walking around. They have just taken Rok-Tok's file and just imported it, because it's got Rok-Tok's outfit from season 1 in, but we know she has a Starfleet uniform by season 2, so it's a bit like, you've just sort of copied and pasted that in. But you know what? At least they're trying. We also see Peanut Hamper, like literally Peanut Hamper from Lower Decks is in Starfleet Academy. And she's in the Toboliff with the Doctor, Captain Nala, and Number 1, which I think is beautiful. And you just hear her like, goodbye, have a good day. And it might not be Peanut Hamper. Sarah thinks it's actually her daughter or something like that. But you know what? I think it's really, really cool. In terms of the plot for this episode, it's your typical, we've got to get these guys to join the Federation. So basically, the Betazoids, after the burn, left the Federation because the Federation sort of, didn't help them. And with them, they took a load of systems. I'm going to assume they took all the systems with fellow telepaths, because the lead of the telepathic delegation only speaks with sign language. And in Next Generation, of course, there is a species that are also telepathic that communicate with sign language. So I'm going to assume that race and sort of all the telepathic races are behind the barrier with the Betazoids. Anyway, so we learn that the Betazoids are coming with a delegation to see Starfleet Academy with, talks of rejoining the Federation, which they're not going to do. This is purely a political statement, because the kids have basically been, protesting because they want to rejoin the Federation, and the adults don't want to. And essentially what happens, Caleb and the daughter of the lead of the Betazoid delegation have a bit of a thing. And the stereotypical thing happens. He meets her when he's running away. They sort of bond. They sort of have a load of fun. She disappears, and he gets caught by the police, gets taken to class, and oh, there she is next to the Prime Minister. Well, what do you know? It's the girl. And the girl's like, can I have a tour of Starfleet Academy? I want him to take me. And so they're like, anyone else, please? No, we're going to send the Academy's hooligan with the Prime Minister's daughter. This is going to go really well. So yeah, no, it is quite a fun episode. You see the two of them bonding. We get a really interesting reference to the voyage home. They go and look at some humpback whales, really badly CGI'd humpback whales. I think that was a put off for me. And we get another reference, which is I think that one is pregnant. Which I think is maybe a bit too far, but that's fine. And you know what? You get your classic, the dad finds them, they've gone out after curfew, they get in trouble for being out. And then the next day at the party for it, the two of them sort of go meet up, and the brother's like really supportive, and we're going to come back to him later. Her brother is like, you feel really good around him, go talk to him. Anyway, they have a little lovers tiff. It's a bit early in their relationship for a lovers tiff, but they have a lovers tiff. And they sort of like, you just wanted me to get with you because I could show you our star charts, you can find your mother. And he's sort of like, well, yeah, that's my thing. I'm not I've known you 5 minutes, I'm not going to be fully in love with you. She makes a fair point. She walks away. He gets really nasty, like Caleb does, for like no reason. Then again, he has been in prison for a lot of his life, so maybe he doesn't know how to talk to people. I don't know. Anyway, Federation sort of have a whole argument saying that we're going to restart the Federation headquarters in Paris. And he's like, things all stay the same. And it's like, right, we're leaving. We're not rejoining. And it's like, oh no. And then they're like, oh, we've been defeated. We're not going to work it out. And then Caleb's like, we need to rebuild. This whole episode's been sort of about building relationships and stuff. And it's like, and Captain Nala has a great idea. And Captain Nala basically suggests we're going to rebuild Federation headquarters on Beta Z. And then the Beta Zs are like, yeah, you know what? If you're going to send all of your ships to guard Beta Z because Federation headquarters is there, then yes, we will rejoin. And you're like, oh, that's perfect. There you go. Get all the star systems. And of course, the planet that his mum is on is behind the barrier. And that's why the Federation don't have it on their database. A Star Wars reference in Star Trek? I was all for it. It was good. But yes, so we've only seen 2 episodes thus far. We have got some previews for episode 3, which I'm going to put on screen now for you to have a look at. Let me know your thoughts on these episodes. Obviously, there's a lot of negative reviews out there about them, but you know what? They had their ups, they had their downs. I mean, go check out Trek Culture. They always do a great review of these episodes, you know, really, you know, diving deep into their thoughts and things. But there's so much to take in. There's so many references to classic Trek. We even got to see it seems that the race from TOS, the half white half black race from TOS, which is obviously a metaphor for racism, there is a character that is that's a member of that race, which is really, really cool. So it turns out that they've evidently learned their lesson and haven't gone extinct, which I think is really, really cool. So yes, let me know your thoughts about Starfleet Academy. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Were you a fan of 32nd century ship designs? Are you not a fan? Obviously, you know, it is set in the Discovery era. We do get to see Tig Notaro from Star Trek Discovery in it, and she's their lecturer for quantum mechanics, and basically like, I came from the 22nd century, okay, you know, I know a lot about time travel. And you know, you had the sort of teen drama like, I know more than the teacher, do you know more than the teacher, or the teacher's going to embarrass you, oh, I don't want to be here anymore, and that's what sort of leads him to run away and bumping into the Betazoid. This show, I'm going to say, has a lot of potential. The characters are really fun. And that the nice brother of the girl ends up being a roommate with Caleb and the bully. So the bully and Caleb become roommates, you know, as of course they're going to end up being roommates, and then they're going to become friends. Obviously there's going to be loads of there's going to be things you're like, this is obvious, that's what's going to happen, because they're at school, they got, you know, university. These things will happen, you know, they happen because they happen in real life. These, you know, obviously we don't have starships yet, but relationships will form as they do. But I said, let me know your thoughts on episode 1 and 2. Do you think the show has potential? Do you not like it at all? Is it not your cup of tea? Is it your cup of tea? Do you really like it? Do you love all the references to Star Trek Prodigy? Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. And until next time, have an awesome day. The Gamma Recruit event is returning to PC. Make a new Jem Hadar character for a limited time to unlock great rewards for your entire account. This event is live from the 13th of January to February 3rd on PC. If you've not made one before, we recommend making 2, a Fed and a KDF character, to make sure you get different rewards. Make sure both recruits have finished the tutorial mission and claimed their special transponder device. Gamma Recruits can only be created during the Gamma Recruit event. These recruits are recognized by the Gamma Y symbol next to their names. All Gamma Recruits will have the inherent bonus trait during the Gamma Recruit event of generating salvage upon defeating enemies, a bonus which extends to your entire group. This trait will only be available during the event and once the Gamma Recruit event ends, so gather your salvage while you can and use it to re-engineer your equipment to your exact standards. Thank you to our Patreon supporters for helping to make all these Priority 1 Armada shows and streams possible. Well, that wraps it up for this week's Trekking Out the News. Don't forget to like the video and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Follow us on X and Blue Sky at Priority 1 Armada. Check out our website, www.PriorityOneArmada.com, for more information on our Star Trek Online in-game fleets. And join us every Saturday for the Priority 1 Armada live stream, where we go more in-depth on this week's Star Trek Online news and take you, the viewers, on an away mission to earn in-game loot. Viewers can also win loot by entering our giveaways during each live stream. That's every Saturday at 9 PM US Eastern on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok and Kick. We host a range of other streams throughout the week, focusing on different Trek games and news. If you want to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on all the latest Star Trek news. That's it from me. Live long and prosper.